Okay, so in this video, we're going to create a start screen in Python Tkinter. As you can see here, we have our main background image right here, and then we have 3 different buttons on the side here. And whenever you hover over them, their colors become inverted here. And so that's what we're going to be creating here in this video today. So before getting started, you'll need some images. You'll need an image that'll serve as the background image, a different image for each button, and an image for each button where the colors are inverted. So the starter code here creates a root window while importing the pillow module, which we'll be using later on. So the first thing we're going to do is create and display the start screen. So we're going to go down here and we're going to create a class. So class start screen. And then we're going to have it inherit from Tkinter's canvas widget. Then underneath here we do define init, pass in self, and then pass in a parent widget. Okay. Then we'll call super init, super dot init, so it can have all of the attributes and methods of the canvas class. And then we're going to pass in our parent widget. And then just to make things easier to see, I'm going to give it a background color. I'm going to make it pink. Okay. Now after that, we're going to go ahead and display the start screen. So we use the pack method with self.pack, set fill equal to both, and expand equal to 1 because we want our start screen to completely fill out the root window. Then we're going to go ahead and update it. So we'll do self.update. Alrighty, now back inside of the root class, we're going to initialize the start screen with self.start underscore screen is equal to start screen, and then we're going to pass in the root or self as the parent. Okay. Now if you run the code, your start screen should completely fill out the root window. The next thing we're going to do is display the background image for the start screen. So to begin, we're actually going to create a function down here. So we'll do define resize underscore image, and then we're going to do image path, width, and height. So what this function is going to do is it's going to take the image path of the image that we're going to be displaying on the screen, and it's going to resize it to our defined width and height here. All right. So now we have to actually create an image object. So we'll do image is equal to image.open. And then we're going to pass in the image path here. Okay. Now we are going to create the resized image. So we'll do resize underscore image is equal to image.resize. Pass in width and height. I think that's supposed to be inside parentheses, so an extra set of parentheses inside there, comma, and then we'll do image dot resampling dot lancos, or I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, lancsos. Okay. So the last thing we're going to do in this function is return the resized image. So we have to return it as an image TK object. So we do image TK photo image, and then pass in resized image. Okay. All right. So now that we have our resized image function done, we're going to go back and start inside of the start screen here, and we're going to get the canvas's width and height. So we'll just do can underscore width is equal to self.winfo underscore width. Then we'll do can underscore height is equal to self.winfo underscore height. Okay. Now we're going to create the background image. So background, and we're going to start with self.background underscore image is equal to resize underscore image. And then I'm going to pass in my images path. So I'm going to put dungeon crawler start screen.png. Okay. And then I want my background image to be the same size as the start screen. So I'm just going to pass in canvas width and then canvas height as the desired width and height. Okay. So now that we actually created the image, we have to now actually display the image. So we're going to do self.create image, and I want the image to be placed at 0, 0. So basically the top left corner of the screen. So 0, 0. And then I want to set its anchor to the northwest part of the image. And then finally, we're going to set the actual image with image is equal to self.background_image and save that. Okay. So now if you run the code, you should have your background image on the canvas, and it should be the same size as the start screen here. Okay. So now we're going to display the new game button onto the screen. So the first thing we're going to do here is calculate some base positions that we're going to use for all of our buttons. So I'm going to do base button positions here. Okay. And so I'm going to set button width, the default button width, to self.winfo_width divided by 4. So basically that's going to, instead of being directly in the middle here, all of our buttons base position is going to be like right here. Okay. And so for the button underscore height, we're going to convert this into an int. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to do button underscore width times 1080 divided by 1920. Okay. And so the reason why I use these two numbers here is these are the dimensions of my button images. Okay. So my button images are 1920 by 1080. So I'm basically dividing the height by the width here. Okay. But you don't have to do this. You can experiment with this as much as you want, but this is how I'm going to do it for my project. So now we can actually create the new game. So we'll do, I'm going to put new game right here, and then we'll do self.new game image is equal to resize_image. Again, we're going to pass in the image's path, which for me it's new game button.png. Then we're going to pass in button width and then button height. Okay. All right. So to actually get the new game button onto the screen, we're going to do self.new game item is equal to self.create_image. Its x position is going to be can_width divided by 4, and its y position is going to be can_height divided by 2. And I'm sorry, the x position is actually going to be can_width divided by 4 minus 100. So it won't be exactly on the left side of the screen. And then we have to set the image. So image is equal to self.new game image. Okay. All right. So now if you run your code, you should see your new game image right here on the screen. Okay. So now we're going to add a hover effect to the new game button. So the first thing we have to do is basically create and display the hover version of the new game image. All right. So down here, we're going to self.new game hover image equal to resize_image. We're going to do new game button hover.png. And then we're going to give it a desired width and height. So button_width, button_height. Then we're going to do self.new game_hover item equal to self.create image can_width divided by 4 minus 100 can_height divided by 2, and then we're going to set this image equal to self.new game hover_image. Okay. And so one more thing we're going to do here is give it a state. So we'll say its state equal to hidden. Okay. So technically it's on the canvas, but you can't see it. So now we have to create a method that swaps the new game button images whenever the mouse is over the button and whenever the mouse leaves the button. So down here, let's see. Yeah, so down here we're going to create a new method. So we do define swap, pass in self, item, and then item 1. Okay. So we're going to do self.item config. For the first item, we're going to hide that item. So we'll set its state to hidden. And then self.item config, the second item or item 1, we're going to show that one. So we'll set that one's state equal to normal. Okay. So now to actually get the hover effect to work, we have to add a tag binding to both the new game item and the new game hover item. So down here, we're going to do self.tag_bind. And then this first binding is going to be on the self.new game item. The event is going to be the enter event, or whenever the mouse enters the image. And then we're going to do lambda e self.swap, and then we're going to pass in self.new game item, because that's the item that we want to hide, and then the item that we want to show is self.new game hover item. Okay, so now let's just save and test that real quick. All right, so whenever my mouse gets close or goes inside of the new game, it should change. All right, so that changes, but the only issue now is that whenever the mouse leaves, it stays the same. So we're going to go ahead and add that. So I'm gonna just duplicate this and then change this one to new game hover item, and then we're going to change the event here. So instead of enter, we're going to do leave. All right, and so now we just swap these. So the item that we want to hide is the new game hover item, and then the item that we want to show is simply the new game item. All right, so now I'm going to save and run that. Now whenever I enter, it should change to the hover version, and whenever I leave, it should change back. All right. Okay, so the next step is to display the load game button. It's the same process that we did with the new game button, so I'm going to move just a little bit faster here. And so now we have to actually create the load game button item. So self.load game item is equal to self.create underscore image can underscore width divided by 4 minus 100. Okay, so the height part is where, or the Y position is where things is going to kind of change here. So we're going to do can underscore height divided by 2. Okay, so the only issue is it has the same exact width and height as the new game button. So if we were to keep this in here, the load game button would literally just cover up the new game, and you wouldn't be able to use the new game button. So what we really want is we want the load game button to be beneath the new game button. So instead of just leaving this as can underscore height divided by 2, we'll do can underscore height minus 100 to give it a lower Y position. Okay. And so now we're going to do image is equal to self.load game image. Okay. So let's save and test that real quick. Okay, I messed up here. All right, this is actually supposed to be down here. So let me fix this real quick. Maybe instead of minus 100, we should probably do plus 100. All right, there we go. All right, so now it's in the right position. Okay, so now, just like with the new game button, we're going to do the hover version of the load game. So self.load underscore game hover image is equal to resize underscore image load game button hover.png. That's the path for it. It's going to have the same width and height to keep everything consistent. Then we'll do self.loadGame hover item and do self.create_image can_width divided by 4 minus 100 can_height divided by 2 plus 100, and then we're going to set this image equal to self.loadGame hover image, and then we're going to hide this one also, so its state is going to be set to hidden. Okay. Alrighty. So now, just like with the new game tag binds, we have to do the same thing. So I'm gonna just take this, copy it, and paste it down here, and just change the details. So instead of new game, we'll do load game. Load. Now let's save and make sure that's working good. So now whenever I hover over the load game, it should change, and whenever I leave, it changes back. Same with the new game here. Okay, so the very last thing we need is an exit button. Again, this is the same process as the last 2 steps, so I'll quickly create and display both the normal and hover versions of the exit button, and then add tag bindings for the hover effect. Alright, so now if you run your code here, you should have your main background image right here, and then your 3 buttons on the side over here. And then whenever you mouse over them or near them, they should swap colors here, which creates a nice little hover effect. So this video will only focus on the visual aspect of creating a start screen, but if anyone is interested in a video where we make the buttons do something when we click them, please let me know in the comments. Other than that, thank you for watching.